Morning. We are here today on the farm. This is Trevor Bernard. We come to look at some of the ruminants here, and I am in particular looking at the selection of new animals to your farm. A lot of people, new farmers and people who want to go into goat rearing and are not able to look at an animal and judge the animal if this is a good animal to choose for your farm. So we are going to look at how you select animals for your farm. So now we're going to look, one of the first things that I always like to look at is the head. You have different breed types, like this is an Alpine. You know, their heads look something like this. They have ears standing up like this. They have a small, you know, head area like this. Here now is a Nubian. When you look at the head, usually a Nubian, especially the ram, has the roam on. They usually have the ears. But we're not going to dwell on the breed type so much. But one of the things is the muzzle. This is the mouth area. They should have a fairly wide muzzle because this affects their bite when they're tearing the grass and so forth. And usually you want to look at the bite. The teeth must lap over each like that. It must have an overbite on their mouth, which we looked at recently. Usually they have a long neck. You know, you want a long neck and a nice chest. Now you want to have right in this area a smooth area. It should just flow. When you rub your hand, it should just flow and come down like this. You have some animals where right in the shoulder area it comes over and you see like a knuckle shooting up like this. You don't want to see that. You want to have a smooth transition down to the legs like this. You want to see strong bones in the legs. And usually the length of this area and here usually is about the same length. You want to also have a wide chest area. One of the things is that when you look even at the legs, she must track in a straight line. Her legs, she must not have knock knee. So her knee must not knock in or knock out. It must, you know, have a straight stand level on the ground, and when she walks she must track in a straight line on the foot. Also on the foot you want to have heel. The heel back is very important. You want to have nice heel back and she stand level. Usually you have to, when you're doing intensive farming like this, you have to cut the woof on a regular, and you don't want a wide space toe. You know, you want it to be close together, and that is what you look for. Now when we look further, you should have a level back, and you know, you must feel the animal. You can see the condition of the animal. You must feel the meat on the back here. When you hold the back, you feel a lot of bones and your fingers sinking deep. You know, the animal is not in good condition. And as usually, the animal must have a shiny look. This is a mother. This is her kid here with her behind her, and she's feeding. So for a mother that is feeding her kid, she's in very, very good condition. Now this croup area here, normally you don't want a steep incline. You want a gradual incline. She might have a little too much croup right here, and right this area should be flat, almost like a dinner plate. It should have a flat look. So you should, from here coming down. Let's now look at the back of our legs. Now one of the things is that this area, the angulation of the legs, you want to have a nice angle on this leg, right? Let us look at this Alpine ram. So you want to have this angulation here. Half of the ram is half of your herd. So it is very important that you pick a very good quality ram. If you look at this ram, his croup is slight, and you look, he has a level back. You know, he has a good angulation. You want strong legs, very, very strong legs. They call these like posted legs. When the legs here is straight, they have posty-like legs, which is what you're not looking for. You want this angle. And if you look at this female, I was trying to find a female that have a posty leg. She had looked like a posty animal, but now she don't really look so posty. Here usually look like a light post. You know, it's very straight, and that is bad. You don't want that. You look at her back legs. You see, her legs is knocked in like this. They turn and come in. That is bad. So her legs is not good. It's turned in, and she have a very posty leg also. It's knocked in. It must be straight when she's standing. And if you look at her udder, you see it starts from here and it goes around. If you look, that is not bad, and her udder is, comes back. Another thing with the udder, the media, which is this center line right here, it should be well defined. You should see the split in the udder. This one is not a good example with the media being right here. You should see the udder coming a little to the front. You want the udder to take up quite a bit of space in this area so that it can hold a lot of milk. Selecting animals is that you must not buy mature animals. Some farmers like to say, okay, I want to buy a mature female and I want her pregnant. That's not a good idea. When you're a startup farmer and you're just starting, you don't know anything about the animals, you're just in the learning process. Buy the kids, say 3 months to 6 months old. That's where you want to buy them. Grow with the kids and watch them get pregnant. Watch the kids grow in that stomach and having the kids. That way you will have a good understanding of the entire process. You also want to buy anywhere maybe to start with maybe 2 animals to 10 animals. That's where you want to start. And you want to just look at these basic things. You don't want to, you want to be able to do the selections and learn from it as you go along. So these are some of the tips that we are looking for. But one of the things is when you are looking at the udder, when you buy these young kids, you cannot see the udder of the young kids. So it is very important to look at the mother and look at her udder attachment and look at the condition and the look of the parents, both the mother and the father. Because when you look at the mother that you're getting the kids from, then you'll have a good idea what will happen with those kids. Very, very important. So you have to link up yourself with good farms. Buy your animals from reputable people and reputable farms. You have some, I spoke to a lady recently, she bought a kid, and when she bought the kid, she didn't realize the kid was pregnant. It was like 3-4 months old kid. The kid ended up born and dying, and she nearly lost the mother. She had to run the mother to the vet. She had complications. You don't want to breed too early. So you have to separate the rams from the kids when you're just, buying these animals. Let us do a quick overview of what we just went through. Always start with young kids, 3 to 6 months. Make sure you look at the parents of those kids that you're buying. When you look at the kid that you're buying, he must be shiny and have a nice coat. Look at the muzzle, look at the head, look at the narrowness of the chest. This rib cage, the wider this rib cage is, the better they are able to hold the kids inside the womb. Flatness of the back, the croup. Look at their legs, look at the udder attachment, look at the straightness of the legs. These are the things that you look for in a kid that you're buying. So you look at those general things, shininess, the health. Sometimes you can even look at their eyes. Remember the Famancha scoring that we said earlier on. You look at the eyes and you peel back the eyes and you must see it look pink, bright pinkish reddish color. And you just look at the overall, look at the rump area. That's another thing too. You look and you check. I always like a dark color. If you see a pink color, I don't like the pink color. It means they're not able to handle the sun as much. But in a intensive farm environment, it doesn't matter. They must track. They must track very well. They mustn't have a posty front. They must have a smooth line going down. The ribs, the hock here mustn't push, not the hock, the bone here mustn't push up like this in front of them. It must be a smooth line coming down. There's no perfect animals. That's one thing I have to tell all the young farmers. There is no perfect animal. You're going to always have faults in every animal. There's always something that is slightly wrong. But you just want these general rules, because at the end of the day, these things that we are pointing out is what affect the breeding of the animals, because everything counts. The muzzle area being wide, they're here to tear the food, for example. This area being more, not scooping right down, the ability to have the kids and push out the kids' area because that area is wider. The rib cage being wide, they can hold the kids inside their bodies and don't squeeze up the organs and squeeze as the kids grow inside there. You know, she don't struggle as much. Having strong bones, the legs must be strong and have strong, you know, strong bones, strong legs, not fine bones, because you want the strength of the foot to be able to move around and run and handle the faster environment. So you want to select strong, healthy animals as you go along. When you're selecting farms to breed your animals, remember I said that you need to buy animals from a reputable farm. You need an honest and a reputable farm to buy your animals from, because there's a lot of questions that you need to ask and a lot of things that you need to look at when you're purchasing these animals. When you're going to purchase animals, especially when you're buying animals for the first time, you do not want to buy purebred animals. Please, just buy local, native goats. That's where you must start with 2 to 10 animals to start with. Remember that you don't want to start expensive, and you also want to start with what your pocket can afford. You can afford 2 or 3 or 10, as I said before. Now, big mistake is to start with Boer goats. Do not start with purebred Boer. That's a very, very bad idea. Boer goats are very, very difficult to maintain and keep. You have to give them pellet feed and a lot of pellet feed for them to do very well and do like you see on those farms that you see have these lovely, big, beautiful Boer goats. It's not a good idea. Also, the Boer does not produce a lot of milk. They produce very little milk. And when you are doing your crossing, do not cross your natives with Boer. It can get very complicated because the kids are so big. Usually what happens is that sometimes they have problems passing out those big kids, and you know, it gets very complicated. And also, Boer bred to native or local goats, usually those kids don't have enough milk because the Boer have a milk problem. They don't have a lot of milk. And when you do that, you'll have kids that don't have a lot of milk. So here is my rule. First thing, if you have some local goats, you breed them first to a Nubian type goat or a purebred Nubian, right? That will bring a lot of milk on the animal. And once you have those kids that have a lot of milk, because you also have to check, and then you can use the Boer if you like at this stage, at the second. So breed the kids to the Boer to get more size on the animal. That's what you should do. But when you're starting up, stay away from the Boer animals. Try to buy more Nubian type goats, or graded as we say, or you buy the native, which is the best thing to start with. These are some of my Boer goats from the past. I have these Boer genetics all over the island in Jamaica. They are exotic goats, ideal for the show ring. They consume a lot of bag feeding and are high maintenance animals. Forages alone, they don't do very well on it. These were my Boer pets from the past. So, this animal, the appearance is a lovely doe. You see how nice she looks? She have big bones, nice legs and so forth, nice croup. She just had kids. She have one kid on her, and she come from a purebred Boer. The father is purebred Boer and the mother is a native female. Now, one of the things with this, if you notice how wide she has a pronounced media, you want to have a slight media where you see a separation of the udder, which is very important, and she has a wide ear. She had no problems in having her kid, but the problem is she has no milk. Look at this. She's feeding a kid and her udder, there is no milk in the udder. I don't think she'll be able to feed 2 kids. She's a first-time mom and she don't have a lot of milk. But the Nubians, I'm able to feed 2 kids and even take some milk from the mothers. Even the crossbreed Nubian natives, I'm able to do that. So that is why I'm recommended not to breed to the Boer as a first-timer. You can look at her and you can see, you know, she's here with the rest of Nubians and some of the kids. Also her kid also go and suck the other Nubian mothers and take milk from there because she doesn't produce enough milk. Sometimes they do that and share the milk. That's something that they also do. All right. Also, you need to buy animals that will have similar feeding pattern to what you are doing. So some people will go and buy these expensive Boer animals that they feed them on just bag feed and very little forages. And when you move them to your operation, you are going to try to feed them on forages and they don't grow and you have problems and you have issues. That's why it's such a mistake. You have to buy animals that are on similar feeding pattern to what you expect to feed your animals, because the ruminants need to, you cannot change the feeding suddenly on an animal. You have to gradually change the type of feed and how you feed the animals. It has to be a gradual process. So do not buy Boer goats in your breeding program as a beginner. Stay away from it. And also, Boer has problems, even in the kidding time. You have to stay there with that Boer, because sometimes the kids are so big they don't come out very easily. It gets very complicated and it can be very discouraging when you have Boer goats around you. You have to have a lot of experience to rear Boer goats. And also, when you cross the Boer with the natives, you need to have a lot of experience to be able to have those kids and make them survive and feed and the milk and all of this kind of thing. So stick with the native as a beginner, and then you move towards the breed type that you like. It could be Boer, Alpine, Nubian, whatever it is that you like, but you have to shift to that in a gradual process, because there are complications as you move along. We're buying rams. We're going to look at the ram. The ram should have a masculine look. With the Nubian, you should have a pronounced Roman. And most of the other things that we talk about with the female, the back and the rib cage and the size, he should have muscular, big legs. He should have strong legs in this area. I've seen people buying Boer goats and purebred Boer goats, and the feet below there is very fine and small. Boer goats should have big, powerful legs. They should have, and another thing, when you're buying goats, always find out, you don't want to buy a ram that comes from a single birth. You want to buy animals that come from double and triple births, because this is genetically linked most of the times. A lot of things in the sheep industry, one of the things that happened over the years in the sheep industry, they're always looking for the biggest and the prettiest male to use. And usually these big pretty males always come from single birth because they are getting all the milk. And when you buy these rams that come from a single birth, that singling effect can be thrown in your herd. And remember, half of the herd is your ram. Always take rams from double or triple, because that will throw back in your herd. And you will find your mothers always having twins or triplets or even 4 and so forth. So that is very important when you're selecting a ram. A ram is one of the most important animal when selecting, because once you breed a mistake in your herd, something that you shouldn't be doing, like a very bad udder. Sometimes you see some goats with their udder touching the ground and rubbing on the ground. You look at the mother, you should have the udder up here, and that udder will get cut, will draw on the ground, the kids can't reach the udder. Those things make a difference with the animal in your selection. And the truth is, even with the Boer, the reason I'm talking about the Boer so much, because everybody who is going to start in goat farming have this, just see the Boer and want to buy the Boer, which is such a big mistake for a starter person. It's a very big mistake. And another thing, even in selecting a ram, to select a ram or to select goats for a first time, it's a very difficult thing. Do not buy purebred when you're just starting out. Most of the Boer farms that are, when I go around and I look at the Boer farms in Jamaica, maybe only 5% of all the animals that is inside of that herd meet the breed characteristics of a Boer goat. You have to know that. And some farms will only be selling what they don't want. right? So it is such, don't try and go and buy purebred Boers. You need an expert to really help you to select a good animal, right? I just want you to bear that in mind. Most of these Boer goats, some people are selling purebred Boer and they are not purebred, they are graded. But they look like a purebred Boer or they look like a Boer. But as they grow out and get bigger, the characteristics change and they are not Boers. So you have to pay attention. You should not be buying purebred Boer when you start off. Big mistake. Now, when you're looking at a goat, a healthy goat, usually if the tail is hanging down and the head is hanging down or something, you know something is wrong. Maybe the animal is sick. A goat always walk with its tail pointing up. They always walk very strong and majestic and hold their head up high and walk very, very bossy-like. So when you see a ram, especially the ram, they look very masculine. Actually, when you look at the females, they look very feminine and the rams look very masculine in the way they walk and how they move around the place. So that is something that you also look at when you're buying these animals. Another thing, I get a lot of calls about farmers telling me, you know, what they see on Google and see on, you know, on other pages and so forth about things that are happening abroad. It's not everything that you see on the internet relates to our situation in Jamaica. For example, the cold weather and the way they rear animals in the cold is different from what we do here. So you have to, as a new farmer, and you want to go into this new business, what I always recommend is that the farmer, you should, as a young farmer or as a new farmer, go around and visit other farms in Jamaica. Look at all the different ideas that people use and have in farms all over the island. And then you must adapt what you think is best for your farm as you go along, because there's so much to learn. I have a lot of experience and I'm still learning as I go along every day. One of the things that, you know, what is my aim and my goal? My aim and goal is to start new young farmers and new farmers in general to get involved in the small ruminant sector, which is such a vibrant sector. And, you know, the market is there, you know, everything. And it is a very, very, very enjoyable thing to get into. So I am here trying to push and trying to help farmers. You can always call me anytime for advice and you know, to just guide you as you go along. And you know, thank you all so much for subscribing to my channel. Please keep watching because I always have interesting things. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, feel free to call me and ask me. And you know, I will do videos on different questions, because most of my videos are coming from questions and things that the public asks me, you know. So I just try to put it in a video and try to explain it. Thank you so much for watching.